Hi everybody, it's Drew Pearson, Territory Manager with Corteva Agriscience for Midwestern Ontario. I'm out here in an edible bean field on the northwest side of Oxford County and want to take a minute to talk to you about white mold in edible beans. The white mold fungus, Sclerotinia, is pretty prevalent throughout all of Ontario and a lot of the states in the US and can be a major yield robber for edible bean growers and also affect the quality of the product too. So making it very important to control white mold in your edible beans. Before I talk to you about control though, I do want to talk to you about environmental factors and a bit about the life cycle. So as you know, white mold is a soil-borne disease, meaning that it's in the soil the year you plant your edible beans. So the previous year, whatever crop you were having, it could have got infected with some white mold, or even some weeds can get affected with the white mold. As the plant matures, the sclerotia falls off the plant into the soil, it overwinters. The next spring, you plant your edible beans into that field that's already contaminated with sclerotia, giving it the opportunity to get white mold. Once it's planted, that sclerotia can turn into apostesia, which is those trumpet-like mushrooms that you'll find on the soil. Those mushrooms create spores and release the spores into the air as they mature. The spores get blown onto the plants. If the plants are flowering, have nice moist blossoms, that can infect the plant. Gets into the plant, creates little tan-like lesions, and a couple days later those lesions turn into fuzzy white mold. If that plant's affected with white mold, it can affect the neighboring plants by just coming in contact with it through the flowers or other parts of the stem that maybe have a wound in them and infect the plants beside it, the neighboring plants. Those can plant the neighboring plants and so on and so forth, creating large parts of your field being infected with white mold. Just because your field does have sclerotia in it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get white mold. You do need the right environmental factors, which is basically moisture, to create the apostesia, to create the spores to infect the plant. So to get the right environment factors, you basically need about 10 days of moist soils. So if you think about a 10-day period, you think about 2 or 3 rains over those 10 days, a couple of cloudy mornings the next days after the rains, keeping the soil moist, a couple heavy dews and maybe a foggy day, and bang, there you have it. It doesn't take a whole lot for those apostesia to create the spores and to grow and to create those spores. If you do have environments that are really thick canopies or poor air movement like around buildings or bushes, that is an environment for rapid growth. So I do recommend that you do walk your fields in those conditions, or just walk your field and look for those mushroom-like trumpets. And I recommend you talk to your retailer about some options you have. At Corteva, we recommend Acapela. It's a group 11 strobe that's got very unique movement capabilities. So when you spray it on the plant, it moves very rapidly in and around the plant to protect the whole plant and not necessarily just the target site. We recommend 0.35 liters per acre with 20 gallons of water. This product's also very tank mix compatible with a lot of partners. So talk to your local retailer about Acapela in your edible beans.